Welcome to This Explainer. We're going to jump right in today with a totally mind-boggling fact. You ready? Earth never gets any new water. Seriously, the amount of water swirling around our planet right now is the exact same amount that's been here for literally millions of years. It is, without a doubt, the ultimate recycling story.
And because we never get a single new drop, well, did you know the water sitting in your cup right now could be the very same water a T-Rex or a Brontosaurus splashed around in? No way, right? I know, it sounds completely crazy, but it is 100% true.
So, how in the world is that possible? Well, our planet is basically one giant recycling machine. The water just goes around and around, from the land, up to the sky, and right back down again. It never leaves the Earth. It just keeps getting cleaned and reused over and over again forever.
So let's talk about how this works in Section 1, the Great Water Cycle, which is powered entirely by the heat of the sun.
This incredible natural machine is a continuous four-step loop. We've got evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and accumulation. I know, those are some pretty big words, right? So let's break them down and look closely at each one.
Step 1 is evaporation. This happens when the heat from the sun warms up the water in our oceans, lakes, rivers, and yeah, even those tiny little puddles left in your driveway after a storm. As the liquid water gets warm, it kind of does this magic trick. It turns into an invisible, floating gas called water vapor, and that vapor rises right up into the sky.
Now, if you're having a hard time picturing an invisible gas, just think about a boiling pot of water on the stove at home. When that water gets super hot, you start to see steam rising up into the air, right? Well, if you left it boiling long enough, all the water would turn into steam and completely disappear from the pot. That steam is water vapor. And that exact same thing is happening outside every day, just powered by the heat of the sun.
And that brings us to step 2, condensation. As all that invisible water vapor rises super high up into the Earth's atmosphere, the air up there gets really cold. And when water vapor cools down, it changes back from a floating gas into a liquid.
Though what's really fascinating is what happens next. Those cooled down tiny liquid droplets are actually so small that they can still float. So they start to huddle together up there in the sky, almost like a big group hug. And when enough of them group up, they form those big, fluffy clouds we see floating by every single day.
Actually, you can see condensation happen right in your own backyard. Have you ever taken an ice-cold cup of water outside on a really hot summer day and suddenly noticed the outside of the cup getting all wet? You might wonder, wait, is my cup leaking? Nope. That is literally invisible water vapor in the hot air condensing. It's cooling down and turning into liquid drops the exact moment it touches your freezing cold glass. Pretty cool, huh?
So once those big clouds get totally packed with water droplets, we hit step 3, precipitation. When clouds fill up with too much water, they get super heavy. Eventually, they just can't hold it all anymore, and gravity pulls all that water right back down to Earth. And remember, precipitation isn't just rain. It can fall back down as snow, sleet, or even hail, depending on just how cold it is outside. This step is absolutely crucial. I mean, it's what provides all the fresh drinking water to every single plant, animal, and human on Earth. We literally couldn't survive without it.
Finally, we have step 4, accumulation. Because when that precipitation falls, it has to gather somewhere, right? Gravity pushes the runoff into rivers, which then flow into lakes and our massive oceans. To put that into perspective, the oceans actually hold an amazing 97% of all the Earth's water. Some of it also soaks deep down into the dirt, becoming groundwater for thirsty plant roots. And then, the sun heats it all up and the whole cycle starts over again.
Moving right along to Section 2, how do plants breathe? Let's uncover the secret of plant breath.
Okay, let's compare regular evaporation with our next big science vocabulary word, transpiration. So, evaporation is water turning to gas from things like puddles and oceans. But transpiration? That is essentially plants sweating. See, plants suck up groundwater through their roots, but they actually only use a tiny little bit of it to grow. The rest of that unused water travels all the way up to their leaves, turns into vapor from the sun's heat, and escapes through these tiny invisible openings. They are literally breathing out water vapor.
And we are not talking about a small amount of water here. A single, big leafy tree can transpire or sweat out more than 100 gallons of water in just one single day. To picture that, it's like taking more than 2 whole bathtubs completely filled with water and pumping it back up into the sky to make new clouds, just from one tree. Which brings us to Section 3. Try this at home. Get ready for the breeding leaves experiment.
Here's exactly what you need to do this yourself. Feel free to pause this explainer for a second to grab your supplies. You'll need a small, clear plastic bag, a piece of string or a rubber band, and a writing journal to record your super secret scientific findings. Oh, and you'll also need to find a leafy tree branch outside, or, an indoor houseplant works perfectly fine too if it's winter.
Okay, so all you do is carefully place that clear plastic bag over a few leaves on the branch. Then tie it nice and tight at the bottom with your string so absolutely no air can escape. Leave it right there in the sun for at least 6 hours. When you finally come back and look inside the bag, you will magically see condensation. The bag will literally be filled with tiny water droplets because, well, you just trapped the plant's transpiration breath. How cool is that? Make sure to draw exactly what you see in your journal.
So now that you know exactly how the Earth recycles every single drop of water it has, I've got a challenge for you. Go look out your window right now. Do you see big clouds forming? Is it raining? Maybe the sun is drying up a little puddle on the sidewalk. This incredible, never-ending water recycling machine is in action right this very second all around us. So what part of the cycle will you spot today?